As we've seen, people and movement are wonderful subjects for a painting, but one of the problems is that people do move. So why not work from some photographs? Now this, you can see, it's not a particularly good photograph, but it's got all the elements we need to make a painting. It's got the shapes and the contrast of light, and that's what we're looking for. To give my paintbrush a guide, I've drawn out the shapes of the people and the group shape of the people, the shapes of the shadows, the spaces in between the people, the spaces in between the shadows. These are equally important to this painted surface. And now, to catch this sort of area of central light that's coming in, I'm just going to wash that in behind the figures and then bring the darker forms of the buildings. Now where the figures are lit from behind, it leaves halos of light behind them. Watercolour is wonderful for this subject matter because the white paper is such a fresh light. I just want to get a crisper line against the building, so we'll just take off some of that moisture. And where you're looking into the light, you'll find that the tones are a bit lighter, so you can afford to go slightly lighter with the brush stroke, slightly lighter with the tone, and then start coming darker again behind the figures. We're coming round the lit heads of all these characters coming home from work. I'm mixing lots of colours in with my dark tones, but remember, however much colour you use, the tone's got to be right. So we can use tone as colour. Now I'm going to start with the figure on the left. He and the figure on the right are the strongest, darkest figures because they're out to the sides. They're not up against the light, which kind of bleaches out the colours a bit. And while he is wet, I want to run his face in. Got to keep it nice and dark. And we can leave that lovely halo of light around him. The beauty of working when there's halos of light is that you can actually stop your washes at the edges because there is an edge of white light, so you can actually achieve each person individually or each group and use the demarcations of light to help control the painting. And then there's some people behind him here. Shadows bring up the background behind him. Now on his right-hand side, our left, the shadow of the person behind him is extending beyond him, so that still becomes one shape with him. So we can take it out of his wash using a bit of colour and the shadow behind. Now that's all one different coloured shape on the canvas. It's not a shadow, a person, it's one shape. And there's another shadow coming behind him there. Now on this side of him, the shadow is separated from him by the light. So now we start another shape. Look for the colours. Tone is first, look for the colour within that tone. He's got a very dark brown jacket on, so we can sling some burnt sienna into that colour, leaving the halo. A bit of red seems to be coming in. Now his shadow must be the one that's falling into this one behind here. So that one comes there, and then the person behind that Their shadow runs into there. And people's shadows, as we've seen, they run into themselves. They're not separate from them. A shadow belongs to the object that casts it. And these two people become one shape. Now she's lit, she's more in the centre now, so she's got light right round her. And these people are turning more mauvey ready as you see their heads up against the light. If you just add a touch of red into your wash at the top of the figure, that will indicate that it's their head, the skin of their face. Now here the photograph has gone quite bleached in the middle there, but we don't need to do that. We can indicate that more. Even the shadow colour can vary. The beauty of watercolour is that while it's still wet, you can run colours in and they'll make all these such yummy blends that basically it just sends you into ecstasy, whatever you're doing. And there's a shadow behind her. Keep it pale, because that is separate from her. It's a different shape, it's a paler shape. Now she's holding her shopping. This is handy. Look, she's holding her shopping in the other hand. That's a nice little contrast in the middle. And there's somebody else next to her. So here we have one shape, three legs. And it's touching that red into the wash up by the head. The tip of a sable brush will give you so much more in terms of little distinctive features, like little toe turning up. And the next figure merges with them, but he's a paler tone. You're not bound to accuracy in a painting like this, because more or less any shape will work so long as the overall proportion of one to the other are correct. I want to indicate that he's got this very blue shirt on. So taking the colour, taking the tone, taking the darkness out of my brush stroke. A little bit of movement in the legs. He's going away from us, so his head's dark. Oh, there's a lovely ginger head there. Let's get a nice bit of burnt sienna. Now, we've got a bit of a gap there, so we want to bring his shadow out from him. And the shadows behind him. If you lay the figure first, and then any shadows that are behind them afterwards, then they won't merge together too much, whereas if you did it the other way round, the colours would all splodge and you'd lose the definition. Prussian blue and cadmium red are actually a great combination for creating strong darks with strong colour, so that you can go in and out of your reds and then you run your Prussian blues in. Right, let's wet that and then we can give her a nice spreading auburn hair. Let her hair spread into that, catch the light. Now, but that of course is too light, isn't it? That's the edge of her hair. Now let's plunge this in so that we get a lovely auburn edge to her hair. But this is the real tone that we need for her head. And his suit is a dark navy, so we're coming with some ultramarine blue, lovely and strong and dark, and then he comes down way, way down. He's large, he's in the foreground. And there we are. We've created a whole crowd of people. That now becomes a subject matter, but when we chose it, it was a combination of shapes, highlights, darks. We've looked at the shapes of the people in themselves, the group shapes, the shapes of the spaces in between them, and we've left white paper from the watercolour wash to enable us to see that highlight. Next time you go out into the street, have a look at some of the things we've talked about. Not the objects themselves, but the shapes of them, the shapes in between them, the group shapes of people, their contrasts. Look for repetitions. These are the things that make good paintings. Go on, have a go. Even though dark tone is predominant in this painting, it doesn't mean you can't use colour. Look at these colours used as tones. Look at this red, look at this blue, look at these siennas. I know it's difficult to paint in the rain, but take a camera instead then. Look at the shapes of people and their reflections in the wet pavement. Quick paintings of your children or any family member are always going to be valuable. They're a wonderful subject because of your affection for them. If you paint people in silhouette or near silhouette, you're forced to look at the shapes of the people and the spaces between them. Now you can really see what I mean about the spaces between things are so important. You could actually paint these people by just painting round them with the light oil paint. Roof lines lend themselves to a panoramic format. Look at the shapes on the dark side of the chimney stacks and look at the spacing between the lights and darks across the painting.
Now available to buy. Try these techniques at home whenever you wish. The extended DVD of today's workshop is now available from the Painting and Drawing channel. For further information and to order your copy, go to www.paintingdrawingchannel.com.